April 2025, a failed coup attempt rocks Burkina Faso. President Ibrahim Traoré survives. The world awaits for the flood of African solidarity statement, support, action, but instead nothing. No words from the president, no condemnation from the African Union, just an unsettling, thunderous silence. All except for one voice, not from a president, not from an elected leader, but from a monarch, the King of Morocco, who stood alone in this open support of Traoré. But why has the rest of Africa remained silent? Is it because Traoré is a revolutionary in fatigues, not a politician in a tailored suit? Or is this silence hiding something more sinister? In Liberia, young protesters, unarmed, peaceful, waving nothing but Pan-African banners and chanting Traoré's name, were dragged away. Silence not by France, not by the West, but by their own government. Why would an African regime turn against its youth simply for standing with another African? This is no longer just politics. It's a betrayal, a quiet conspiracy, a war against rising African consciousness. Because the truth is, it's not just about Traoré. It's about a system built to crush, a system built to dismantle every leader who refuses to kneel. So we ask the question no one dares to ask: has Africa turned its back on its own revolution? Let's uncover the truth. On Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, the world seemed to hold its breath. In cities across continents, millions flooded the streets, not in protest but in proclamation, with banners raised and voices united. They stood for one man, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Africa's youngest and boldest revolutionary. These gatherings were peaceful, lawful, and deeply symbolic. From Dar to Dar es Salaam, the message was clear: the West's smear campaign must fade. The people had chosen their side, and they chose Traoré. But while most of this continent echoes the rising tide of unity, something unsettling was quietly unfolding in the heart of Liberia. In the streets of Liberia, our citizens gathered to join the continental wave of support for President Traoré. Something jarring unfolded. Without warning, the Liberian National Police descended, stern, unyielding. They told the peaceful demonstrators that they had no right to be there. No permission, no protest, no march. March and you will be arrested. And just like that, a crowd full of hope and Pan-African spirit was silenced. Banners were lowered, voices hushed. People turned back, not out of fear, but out of restraint. Yet, even as they walked away, one truth remained: their hearts never left. Their loyalty to Traoré was not erased, only quieted. And so the question lingers like smoke in the air. Why on earth would an African government suppress its own people for standing in solidarity with another African leader? These weren't rebels. These weren't rioters. They were citizens exercising their most basic right: the right to speak, the right to choose, the right to hope. But sadly, they couldn't. They were forced to walk away. And isn't that shameful? This portrait demonstration weren't isolated to Africa. They erupted across the globe, in Jamaica, in the United States, in the Caribbean, and yes, even in the heart of Paris. In all of these places, people marched freely. Not a single Western government threatened them. No riot police, no intimidation, no arrest. So why was it in Liberia, an African nation, that peaceful citizens were stopped from exercising their own fundamental human rights? Has freedom of expression suddenly been erased from the Constitution? When did it become a crime to protest in your own country? Or is the answer far more disturbing than the only reason it was silenced was because the name on their banner was Ibrahim Traoré? And Liberia isn't alone. In the Gambia, citizens reported that their planned protest in support of President Traoré was shut down, denied permission to express what should be a basic constitutional right. Once in coincidence, twice is a pattern. So, what exactly is happening here? Why are African governments silencing peaceful voices speaking up for an African leader? The answer is becoming clearer with every passing day. Many of Africa's own leaders do not like Ibrahim Traoré, and it is not because of what he has done wrong, but because of what he has done right. Traoré has become more than a Burkina Faso's president. He's become a symbol, a rallying point, a threat to the established order. While others bow, he stood. While others whispered behind closed doors, he spoke boldly. Traoré represents everything most African presidents are not. At just 87, he's young, fearless, and unburdened by the chains of the old guard. He's not molded by the system of dependence and compromise that have long defined African leadership. He doesn't owe his seat to Western powers. He owes it to his people. And that alone makes him dangerous to both the West and to the African leaders who have grown too comfortable in their quiet obedience. Traoré broke the unspoken rule. He challenged the system and survived. That's what they fear. That is why they silence his name, because in him, the people see a future, and in that future, they are no longer needed. But unfortunately, the reality is this. Most African leaders are relics of dying era, old men with old ideas clinging to power with policies rooted in